Aradhana, kindly ensure that I have the right to share my screen as well as I can see the participants of this program.
Noted, sir. Noted. We'll do that, sir. Yes. Dr. Rajneesh, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, Aradhana, let me try.
Yes.
Hello. Am I audible to you?
Loud and clear, sir. Loud and clear. Yes, sir.
Let me try first. No? Can you see my screen?
Sir, the screen is loading. It might take few. Yes, sir. It's visible.
Visible, no?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
And fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, a very good afternoon and welcome to the second day of 3 days online training program on technologies in disaster management. This training program is a joint initiation of National Institute of Disaster Management under Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India and SRM University. So, today I would formally like to invite our first speaker. We have with us Dr. Rajneesh Ranjan. Sir is Senior Consultant E-Learning at National Institute of Disaster Management, and Sir has priorly worked as Vice President, Disaster Management and Government Business at SkyMet Weather Services Private Limited. It is an honor and pleasure to have you for this session, sir. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Aradhana. Dr. Shushma, I could see there, she's there. And the host is there also. I got a call from Mr. Vignesh. Hi, Dr. Vignesh. If you are available, kindly accept my greeting to you.
Good afternoon, hi sir.
Yeah. Hello, yes. So good afternoon, all the participants, the dignitaries sitting here in front of the camera, and thank you for giving me opportunity to speak to you about the role of technology in disaster management. It's highly challenging on part of me that the challenges given by Dr. Vignesh to justify all the presentation in 30 minutes, which is, a very, very difficult task. And let me try my best, because, when people or experts start to speak on the role of technology in disaster management, so it is, highly volatile to, concise each and every part in a very short span of time. So, however, I'll try my best to, concise all those things in best possible time. Before I would like to tell you about some of in my presentation, because it's a 30-minute. Am I right, Dr. Vignesh? I'll have to finish 30 minutes.
Yeah, sir, 30, it can extend up to 45 minutes also, sir. Not to worry.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
So, yes, when Dr. Susma gave me this topic about the role of technology in disaster management, so, I thought a lot about this, what to talk to you. Then suddenly it came in my mind that, the entire, daily routine, right from the morning to evening, is based on technology. When we talk about the Internet of Things, whether we talk about the artificial intelligence, whether we talk about the machine learning, whether we talk about the each and everything, the sensor-based operators, the gadgets, modern gadgets which you are using, everything is technology-based. So right from the morning to evening, you are dealing with technology, whether you are aware or not. But technology is in fact a part and parcel of your life. Now, I will have to drop down to disaster management, because this program is related to disaster management, and I will have to justify the role of technology in disaster management. So I will be quickly showing you, my presentation will be divided into two parts. One is on the presentation part. So there are about 40 slides, which I will be showing it to you and will explain to you. And another is about the websites and the portal-based, technology-based portals, which are there being, operated by the Government of India and other organizations, wherein you can find some kind of wherein you can find some kind of information, technology-based information available for your use, whether you are using the air quality data or the weather data or what kind of data you are concerned with, that can be of utility to you, especially to researchers and the academicians, those who are into teaching profession. And thirdly, I'll show you a demonstration about the air quality monitor that can be utilized at the house level. So first, let me share with you about my presentation, right? If you have any question or doubt, you can just raise your, Dr. Radna, can you see my screen? Dr. Aradhana, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. The content is loading, sir. So the content is loading, I suppose. Currently, we can see.
Hello. You can see my
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
You can see,
Full
no?
screen, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
So let's start with the topic directly. The first slide is, the topic on Internet of Things. We all are aware about IoT, but we all are not, many of you may not be aware about what it is. What is Internet of Things? So when you talk about Internet of Things, जब हम बात करते हैं, what about the language, Dr. Radna? Bilingual or English or Hindi?
So I suppose English will be a good way of
Good for all.
communication for the participants.
Fine, fine, wonderful. So when we talk about the Internet of Things, IoT, so IoT is, the next gen revolution. So it's a kind of revolution. You can see the image. So first I will describe that. So IoT describes the network of physical objects, things embedded with sensors, softwares, and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging data with other devices and systems over the internet. So they all are in a kind of, internet based. They all are sensor based or, connected with each other through internet or the network connectivity. Thereby, we are using the term IoT, Internet of Things. So whenever you use the term IoT, the tech savvy people will easily understand what you want to say. You want to say about the use of technology, use of gadgets, and how they are interlinked with each other. Say, for example, right now, nowadays, you must be having the air conditioner having remote, remote TV. So they all are related with, a kind of network connectivity, sensor connectivity, and the internet connectivity. So they are ranging from ordinary household objects to sophisticated industrial tools. I'll explain to you. And the third point is related to data. With more than 7 billion connected IoT devices today, experts are speculating that this number will be going up to 10 billion by 2020 and 22 billion by 2025. So just imagine the kind of, progression in the use of IoT things. It's a next gen revolution going to be happened. So we are talking about the smart city. We are talking about the smart villages. We are talking about the smart homes. So that would happen and can be possible only due to IoT, Internet of Things, right? I will also explain to you about the satellite-based, disaster risk management system, the technology-based. So this is the data you can see on the right-hand side, satellites for disaster management application. One is the INSAT 3DR, second is INSAT 3D. दोनों को छोड़ा गया था 2016 and 2013 में, and they are mainly used for the application of climate and environment disaster management system, and they are providing all the services and like that. The main part which I would like to share with you is that ISRO has a dedicated disaster management support program. When you go log on to the ISRO website, you will find information there is available about the disaster management support program, and they are maintaining through NRSC a Bhuvan Earth. When you go to, I have given the link here, bhuvan.noeda.nrsc.gov.in/disaster/disaster/disaster.php. So whenever you click on this link, now you will find array of information available on disasters, developed by NRSC, and you will find disaster-wise information and data-wise information. Everything information is available, basically, related with satellites. Then IMD also uses satellite-based technology for using weather forecast and early warnings on disaster events. I will come to that point, whether wale forecast pe. Then coming to CWC, Central Water Commission, is a organization under the Ministry of Water Resources, and they provide flood forecast information by using automatic weather stations and flood monitoring gauges, rain gauges, and also there are also gauge stations also related to. So when we talk about the weather forecast and the weather data, so we used to have the automatic weather stations and rain gauges, AWS and ARG. But when we talk about the flood forecast, so we used to monitor the inundation forecast, flow forecast, level forecast, or like that. So those kind of information are managed by Central Water Commission by using gauge stations. And private players are also in this field. They are also champion weather forecasting and monitoring and like that. Satellite-based technologies are also used for the earthquake prediction, though earthquake prediction is not possible right now. But to some extent, the kind of movement on the inside the earth, the dynamics of plates, the kind of movement in the plate, or the kind of movement of the lineaments are, microscopically sensed by some kind of sensors, and they are providing information about the kind of dislocation on the plates at the minor level. And by interpreting, by analyzing the movement of such kind of plates, they can predict some kind of energy is being developed inside the earth, and that may convert into the kind of tremors, larger scale or minor scale. So basically, it's earthquake prediction is nothing but the prediction about the energy, how energy is being developed inside the earth, and how they are going to percolate inside the earth at a particular location. And the satellite-based technology can be helpful in providing some kind of inputs about the prediction. Now, coming to another application of technology, you can see the Google Earth data I have taken from the Google Earth. One data is of January 2018. One data is from the April 2001 of Mumbai airport, and second is of January 2018. Just closely monitor these changes from April 2001 to 2018. Just you will find the difference, and then read the right column text. Just spend half a minute on that. So I hope you all are easily understanding the changes in the land use pattern of this area of Mumbai. So both runways obstruct the flow of Mithi River. The first runway you can see here, along with the taxiway, extend over the culverts on the river, while the second encroaches on the river itself. You can see the kind of encroachment on the Mithi River. And when the river flooded in 2005, the airport had to be closed. So the kind of, river channel and the floodplain area, whenever you are obstructing the channel, so that can create devastation in terms of disasters. So kindly mind it. And also, this could have been possible by analyzing by using the technology, the satellite technology, right? Otherwise, हमें कहाँ से पता चल पाता कि what is the root mean cause of that problem, right? Second is, again, you can see Chennai airport before August 2001 and after August 2015. Just you can see the changes again. So the entire gamut you can see now, or you can perceive about the obstruction of river channels, right? So in 2011, the second runway covered the culvert on the river Adyar. So here in Chennai, the river Adyar is there. And in December 2015, when heavy rainfall led to water from the Chambarambakam lake, and they released into the Adyar, the airport was one of the worst affected, area in Chennai, and that was highly flooded. Now coming to another picture, see the Visakhapatnam before January 2014 and after November 2014. What happened in November 2014? Cyclone Hudhud struck that area, and you can see the impact. The entire roof was blown off due to Cyclone Hudhud, and you can see the pre and post impact of such kind of. This is also the use of technology for the interpretation of disaster vulnerability, especially the flood vulnerability. Just kindly concentrate minutely on the picture and the cross-sectional area we'll find here. This is the image, satellite image of T3 of Indira Gandhi International Airport, T3 area. And most of the time when there is a monsoon rainfall there in the vicinity of that airport, no, the worst affected area and the area which is mostly inundated due to rainwater or kind of thing is that point, that red mark point, and that is inside the premises of T3. Why it is so? Because the gradient is the natural gradient is there, situated in such a way that water from the adjoining areas goes to percolate down at the central level. So it's a kind of bowl shape structure. The geological structure is a bowl shape, and therefore all the water, the surrounding water, whenever there is a high rainfall, that goes and percolate and inundate that area. And that is the major problem of T3, for which airport authorities are struggling. So now they are finding a way and solution how to mitigate the impact of such kind of floods. Now coming to another application of technology is in the field of weather forecasting and weather warning. So again, weather is one of the area which is highly dependent on the kind of technology, and for which is very important for the people. For in our every daily life, weather is associated with our life. Whether you are moving somewhere on a holiday trip, whether you are moving to your office, so the kind of weather information is a vital. The more deeper you go inside the gamut of weather forecasting, weather warning, and weather data management, the more you will find a lot of gems, a lot of information, a lot of present information about the weather data or the weather information. The kind of revenue model, most of the revenue model in the country and of course in the world is solely dependent on the weather data, the weather forecasting, the historical weather data. So when we talk about the weather data or the weather data or weather forecasting, we need to categorize them in three broad categories. One is about the live weather data. So, and second one is the historical, first one is the historical weather data. Second one is the live weather data. And third one is the weather forecast, right? So the entire game of the weather is, categorized in these three parts. So when we talk about the historical weather data, so the historical weather data is a kind of historical weather data that will provide you the historical perspective of the entire weather data. Whether for the last 20 years, what was the pattern of temperature, precipitation, humidity, wind direction, wind speed for a particular area, right? So I'll tell you an example. If you want to, if any authority would like to start or construct a airport in a particular location, so before the construction of the runway or the kind of helipad or like that, they need to understand about the weather pattern, about the weather direction, wind direction, about the wind pattern, about the humidity condition, about the temperature condition, the kind of rainfall pattern, how much rainfall is there for the last 20 years, and what is the changing pattern of this kind of weather, so that the planning can be accordingly modified or rolled out. So suppose if there is a pattern of high amount of rainfall for the last 20 years, you can find it highly vulnerable to construct an airport. Otherwise, that could be flooded in a scanty rainfall or the medium kind of rainfall. So that historical weather data is of much importance to any kind of policy planner or establishment. when you are, planning for a project. Second is the the live weather data. So I will come to the live weather data later in the later slides. So when we talk about the live weather data, so how that can be possible? Again, by using IoT, Internet of Things. So when you are using IoT, so you are integrating the sensors, what we call is the automated weather station. So automated weather station is nothing but the network of sensors, and they are embedded in a kind of station to generate vital weather data, live weather data that will depict about the temperature, about the precipitation, about the wind direction, about the wind speed, about the humidity, or like that. So when we talk about the live weather data, so the kind of network of weather station in a particular location gives a fair idea about the weather pattern, live weather pattern of that particular area. So there must be a combination of automatic weather station and automatic rain gauges in a particular location. So say for example, automatic rain gauges are established for on in the diameter of 5 km. Then the AWS, automatic weather station, must be installed in the radius of 12 km. Why so? Because the, the pattern of temperature, humidity, wind direction, and wind speed are in a kind of constant, pattern, whereas rainfall can be variable in that particular location. So when you install the weather station in a 12 km radius, you need to install rain gauges in the 5 km radius so that you can have the pattern of these four and the rainfall pattern at the micro level, the variation of rainfall at the micro level, right? So this is about the live weather data. And now, IMD and many of the private players are IMDs for the nation, but many private players are making business out of such kind of live weather data. They are generating weather data and they are providing weather data on some kind of revenue model. Whereas IMD, India Meteorological Department, they are providing all the weather data, weather forecast, historical weather data to state government agencies and institutions for the people, for their utility and for their planning and disaster management. Now, why this live weather data is important is that you can integrate such kind of live weather data for generating weather forecast also and for making a immediate response plan at the time of disaster, right? So when you are integrating the data, historical weather data with the live weather data, you can have some kind of idea about the coming weather pattern, what we call is the weather forecast. So when we talk about the weather forecast, so we need to have such kind of live weather data, historical weather data, and those kind of data is feeded in the model, weather model, and through that weather model, the output is generated, which we call is the weather forecast. So you can see the flow chart. This is the global circulation model. And the global circulation model gives you a pattern of the global kind of changes in the weather pattern for the last some period of time. And these kind of global models are downscaled in the regional level. And again, they are again synchronized in the nested domain to provide the weather data, weather forecast for a location specific object area. So say for example, if you are sitting in Delhi, you can have the weather forecast of Delhi. So that can be possible only by using the model and modeling as well as interpolation of the data. Now coming to the very important part is the diecast model. Diecast models is that they integrate all the weather models across the globe, and they integrate all the weather models and provide a single output that is called the diecast model. And they are most accurate because they are integrating all the dynamically tuned predictions of all the specific sites, and they are more accurate than other single kind of model. Now coming to this is As I have told you about the automatic weather station, this is, you can see the image of the weather station. So this is the anemometer for measuring wind speed and wind direction. This is the rain gauge, which we call the tipping bucket type of rain gauge is there. So, there is a tipping bucket. So tipping means, there is a kind of device that accumulates the rainwater, and a certain kind of saturation will give one tip. So in that way, it is called the tipping bucket. And this is the third one is called the data logger. This is the heart of the weather station. So all the kind of sensor data, the sensor based data is stored in that data logger, and they are, connected with the IoT to the ground station. So the best part and the beauty of weather station is that they doesn't require any kind of human intervention to be operated. So they are all automated. So they are solar panel based. So power is generated by using solar panel, and all the sensors are generating data. So there is a ATRS sensor also, number 4. Here you can see this is the ATRS sensor for measuring atmospheric temperature and relative humidity. And this 6 number measures the wind speed. So now you see the kind of all the data is stored in the data logger, and by using the SIM, the communication SIM, CDMA or like that. So all the data is transmitted automatically to the ground station, right? Where all the raw data are subjected to the quality check, whether the data received from the weather station is having some anomalies or the kind of errors. So the error fixing is done at the central location, the ground station. And after QC, quality check, all the data, all the live weather data is shared to all the stakeholders. Now, again, one technology revolution is about the IoT-based data intelligence, what we call is the crop sensors. The crop sensors is also one of the modern revolution in the country, and that is being practiced in the agricultural sector. It's a kind of sensor-based equipment that will provide you the kind of varied kind of data, like rainfall, hail data, canopy leaf area, crop water demand, environmental stresses, and kind of macroclimatic changes. So one in all is the crop sensor and the camera. So nowadays the beauty of this product is that you just click a single photograph of a crop and just send to that the sensor. The sensor will tell you about the type of crop and the type of disease, if any, is affected to that crop, and what could be the mitigation measure. So it's a kind of revolution. Now coming to again another revolution is the lightning sensor network. As you all know that the lightning is increasing day by day across the country. So many areas are now affected by the lightning, and the casualties are also increasing day by day in mostly in states like Bihar, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and like that. So this is the revolution, the kind of revolution, the lightning sensor network, through which a kind of the potential area which are likely to be affected by lightning can be identified and can be shared to the ground station and to the end users. So each lightning sensor detects the lightning within the circle of radius 3,000 to 4,000, 300 to 400 kilometers. So if you install one lightning sensor in particular area, that will cover 300 to 400 kilometers of radius, right? So that can detect every minute of lightning strike experienced in the atmosphere. So there are two kinds of lightning. One is called cloud to cloud lightning. So that is that they are not coming to the earth, they are in the cloud to cloud only. And another one is the cloud to ground lightning. They are the most harmful and the dangerous kind of lightnings. So this kind of intelligence network, the kind of sensor network, can provide you the accurate data about the movement of lightning, the likelihood of lightning in that particular area, and then thunderstorm movements, then just thunderstorm alerts. And, that will give you the alert about the kind of, intensity of lightning in that particular area, isn't it? So this is a kind of revolution in the country. Now coming to the air quality monitoring network. So it's another IoT-based data intelligence services through which you can, measure the kind of pollutant in the atmosphere. The pollutant sensors are used to measure the content of harmful particulate matter in the air, and beyond a certain level, the concentration of these pollutants can prove to be hazardous for humans and crops. You all must be facing the menace of, air pollution in the country, right? Isn't it? So I will just show you how they are impacting you in your day-to-day life. And currently, the most of the low cost sensors are measuring two kind of component. One is called the particulate matter, PM, which we call PM 2.5 and PM 10. Right. I'll explain you what is PM 2.5 and PM 10. And a kind of this is also a kind of very useful thing in the country. Once you are making a network of air quality monitoring station in a particular location, you can find the very useful and vital data of the kind of air pollution in your vicinity, in your area, isn't it? I will give you one example that you must be using EOLA. Most of you must be using EOLA services and Uber services. What they are providing with the services, the kind of services they are providing you, and even also the Google Maps, which you are using while driving, is providing you the data about the road congestion, isn't it? That whether this area is, the traffic is congested or not, right? So how you can find your alternative roads for smooth movement of your taxi or your car or like that. In a similar kind of thing, I'm perceiving this as a potential area wherein you can also map the kind of pollution in your network, road network, right? So when you are moving out to the X road, what kind of the level of PM 2.5 and PM 10 is there? And accordingly, you can have a mapping of the area, the roads, the congestion, and you can have a kind of, no, this route is harmful for you to move. This route is less harmful for you to move. So I am perceiving it as the next level of revolution in the kind of providing air quality data services. Now, coming to, I think we are approaching 45 minutes. So now giving you one example of PM 2.5. PM 2.5 means the particle size less than or equal to 2.5 micron. Whereas PM 10 means particle size between 2.5 to 10 micron, right? On the right-hand side, you can see the comparative account of PM 2.5 10 with the human hair, isn't it? Just see, amazing. Human hair is of the diameter of 50 to 70 micron, whereas when you talk about the PM 2.5, that is less than 2.5 micron, right? And PM 10 is less than 10 micron, right? So just compare it. And when you talk about the common chemical constituents of these pollutants, there are other constituents also, sulfates, nitrates, inorganic ions, organic and elemental carbon, crustal materials, metals like cadmium, copper, nickel, vanadium, zinc, and like that. And there are also, parameters like gases. So in addition to PM 2.5, PM 10, we also measure gases like sulfur dioxide. They're acid forming, colorless, foul smelling, and toxic gas. And their sources are industrial waste, petroleum refineries, vehicles, emissions. आपने सुना होगा जो landfill sites है, mostly you can find such kind of gases there, and they create respiratory problems in human beings, difficulty in breathing and like that. And there is also NO2. In addition to SO2, there is also NO2. So nitric oxide reacts with atmospheric oxygen to form toxic nitrogen dioxide. And that can be found near thermal power plants, vehicular emission, industrial emissions, and like that. And this kind of health hazards are there. Now, this is the air quality index. They are also again based on the IoT, and the you can see in the CPCB website a lot of information about this kind of AQI. So kindly remember this kind of AQI parameter from 0 to 50 is good, 51 to 100 satisfactory, then moderate, and like that. So when you talk about kind of, you see, I am sitting at NIDM, and I am really fortunate to have a very good kind of atmospheric ambience here. I will just show you for a minute. You can see I have a sensor with me, and that is showing a PM 2.5 is 21. AQI is 61. You can see AQI is 61, and then PM 2.5 is 21. PM 10 is 18. So PM 1.0 is also 18. PM 10 is 28, and a kind of wonderful kind of atmosphere is there, right? Is it visible to all of you, Dr. Radna?
Yes, sir. Yes.
You can visible. Now I will show you the real kind of impact of such kind of changes in the sensor data. Just hold it for some minute of time. Now, Akansha, can you come here, please? Can you just show it to here? And just share. Yes. Now, you see, this is the PM 2.5, and this HCHO means formaldehyde, and TVOC means total volatile organic compound. Now, I just see I have with me this, what do you call this, sanitizer with me. And now I am using that sanitizer in front of the sensor. And now just sense the kind of changes that will happen in the sensor network. Just see the kind of TVOC, the change in the TVOC and the formaldehyde level. So total volatile organic compound has increased to 9.999. So highly dangerous, due to that the kind of sanitizer which I'm using to near the sensor is just increase the TVOC level, and also the formaldehyde level has also increased, right? And now when we talk about, now I have some kind of, if you have the dust level, you can make the dusting here, and that will also increase the PM 2.5 level. So fortunately this campus is very, very beautiful and pollution free. So the kind of changes in the PM 2.5 and PM 10 cannot be visible. So the kind of, that's it. So the kind of, thank you, Akansha. So I just wanted to show you about the changes in the pollution level in your household also activity. When you are using the kind of worshipping in your puja sthal, and you are using the agarbatti and dhoop batti, you can just imagine the kind of change in the pollution level at your house. So kindly keep in mind when you are polluting your indoor houses, how much you are contributing to pollute the air inside your indoor pollution, what we call it. And also you can have some kind of check and balance of measuring the index. Now coming to Aradhana, how much time I can take maximum?
So another 10 minutes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now what could be the technology-based weather services? Means live with the data from its captive weather station network, then weather forecasting and monitoring, crop monitoring through UAV is also one of the area where you can find a beautiful application of the technology. Then value-added agricultural advisory services, weather mine, accurate historical data since 1971 or more than that even. Then disasters management. Then this is the kind of basic thing how we measure the rainfall. I'll just give you a glimpse of that. Just have a glimpse of that. So this is the kind of, the rainfall, how we measure through rain gauge, and all the rainfalls are measured in millimeters, and how we measure humidity, relative humidity, and they are also measured. This is called the hygrometer, and they are expressed in percentage humidity. And third one is the wind speed. They are also, there is a cup anemometer which we call, and they are measured in kilometer per hour or knots, the unit of measurement. When we talk about the wind direction measurement, so in the airport, you might have seen this kind of caps, and also wind shock or wind vane, which we called, and they are called the SWIN, south, west, east, or north. And how do we measure the temperature? Again, the ATR sensor, which I have explained to you, atmospheric temperature and relative humidity sensor. And they also measure, in Amazon also you can find a number of household kind of sensors, devices available in the price range of 1,000 to 2,000 rupees. You can find it. And when we talk about the cloud parameter, so there is a clear-cut definition about the cloud parameter. Means when we talk about the clear sunny clouds, means there is no cloud. When we talk about the partly cloudy, means clouds are covering half or less. When we talk about the cloudy, means clouds covering more than half sky. And when we talk about the overcast, that means fully covered with clouds. So this is the kind of nomenclature which we used. I will just, define this, the model forecast. This is a kind of deeper understanding about the model forecast. One is called the GFS forecast, called the Global Ensemble Forecast System. And that gives a forecast, weather forecast of 15 days. Another one is GFS forecast for 7 days. They all are based on technology and model output of the weather data, and the kind of what we call is the AI and ML, input, artificial intelligence and machine learning inputs, right? Then we talk about the rainfall parameter also based on the technological inputs and the kind of the constants which were determined. So when we talk about the very light rainfall, that means 2.5 mm or less rainfall is called the very light rainfall. And when we talk about 2.6 to 7.5 mm rainfall, when we measure, we call it light rainfall. When we measure 7.5 mm to 35 mm, that is called moderate rainfall. And more than 35 mm of rainfall is called the heavy rainfall in that particular area. And when you receive the rainfall 100 mm or more in 1 hour, so mind it, that is called the cloud burst. This is very important. So now when we use the technology to provide you the weather forecasting, so there are certain terminology. One is called the nowcasting. And nowadays, all the weather service provider, including IMD and all the private sector people, they are providing the nowcasting data, which is the, the milestone achievement in the country in providing all the weather kind of forecast. So nowcast give you the hourly forecast using lightning sensor, Doppler radar, satellite images, and also. And second is the short-term forecast from 3 to 7 days. That is of 80% accuracy. Third one is the medium-term forecast of 15 days, having 60 to 80% accuracy. And next one is the long-term forecast is of 30 to 45 days. That gives you the trends only about the kind of weather, or the kind of, we call the 45 days trends. And the last one is called the seasonal forecast. That is a kind of monsoonal forecast. Means that will give you an idea about what could be the monsoonal pattern in that particular area or in that area, right? And then coming to this is, you see the forecast. I have taken it from the Skymet Weather Services. They are providing a kind of forecast. So on the upper side, you can find the date. So one date is 08/09/2017, 8/9/2017 data you can see, 9/9/2017, 10/9/2017, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 15-day forecast is there in the form of image. So you can find the kind of changes every day, what is going to occur in the pattern of weather that particular location. So this could have been possible only by using the technology, right? So weather forecasting application, I will just skip that. You all are now aware about this weather station. I will be skipping that. So how the data flow takes place in weather station, this is the kind of thing. All the data is going to the modem, data logger through modem, and by using Internet of Things, they are going to quality check. And after that, they are provided to all the end users. And this is the another revolutionary thing in the country that is called the UAV based monitoring. So that is applied in every aspect like agriculture, disaster management, flood forecasting, PDNA, and like that. So they are completely automatic and remote controlled, and they have it has the capacity to reach maximum of 400 meters from the ground. And nowadays they are also improving to reach maximum height also. So they capture 1.5 kilometer to 1.5 kilometer image having ground coverage. And they are the beauty of UAV is that they capture, the video continuously. And just see the photographs of the kind of videos taken by UAV, the picture, the clarity you can see. This is the UAV picture of 150-meter resolution. When we go more resolution, you can see 100-meter resolution. When we go deep down, you can find 75 meters of resolution. When we go 50 meters, you can find the kind of pattern of the agricultural pattern in that particular area, like mungfali, kapas, or like that. So a kind of, clarity, the kind of glimpses, the kind of analytical inputs can be obtained from the UAV. This is just for your information about the lightning, how lightning takes place. So in the cloud, what happens during those days, especially during before monsoon, that in the cloud, you can find there are negative streamers, negative charges available. And the negative charges are always searching the positive charge on the ground. And wherever they are found, the circuit is completed and therefore lightning takes place. So I will be just skipping that. So thank you very much, Dr. Radna. If you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much to Dr. Rajneesh Ranjan for such informative and detailed presentation. Sir highlighted many important aspects such as Internet of Things, Internet of Things, next generation revolution, satellite-based technologies in disaster risk management, weather forecasting, medium long range forecasting, a lot based data intelligence, lightning sensor network, concept, intelligence gathered, and coverage. Sir further emphasized on air quality index and technology based weather services. We are very thankful for your session, sir. It was very informative and very knowledgeable at the same time. We thank you once again for your precious time, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, moving ahead with the session,
yeah, Aradhana, 1 minute. Maybe if few questions are there from the participants, yes. Because sir will be leaving now. So, any few questions, if it is possible, we can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Dr. Joseph, I would be, I'd be happy to have questions.
Yes, sir. So one of the participant has asked how we deal with human, material, economic, or environmental impact of disasters in relation with artificial.
Hello.
Sir, am I audible?
Hello. Yeah, can you just repeat your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
so
I can see how
yes.
we deal with the human, material, economic, or environmental impacts of said disaster. Yeah, this is a very big question, and that puts a question mark about the kind of management practices at the spatiotemporal variation level. Now, let me tell you that when we talk about the human impact of disaster, right? So immediately after disaster, the impact on human beings are to be taken care of by the response activities, by the responders, right? So there are responders at the national level, there are the responders at the state level, and they are providing all the response related services to the mankind, to the people, to the community, in saving lives, in providing assistance at the time of disaster or even after disaster. So this is one aspect about the response. When we talk about the material losses, so a kind of after any disaster, now Mr. or Ms. Mori has pointed out about the disaster, after the impact of disaster. So when we talk about the material kind of impact, so there is a need to have, first of all, the assessment of the impact on material, right, or the infrastructure. When we talk about the material, we primarily think of the infrastructure and other kind of material that is there, the affected. For that matter, we need to have a kind of assessment which we call is the PDNA, post damage need assessment or post disaster need assessment, right? So for that matter, we used to assess the kind of damages occurred in that particular location, and what kinds of needs are arising out of that disaster, and how much extent we can provide that. So the both way, the kind of requirement, what kind of requirement is there, and how can we fulfill that requirement exactly at the time of disaster or after the disaster. So this is second aspect. Third one is about the economical or environmental impact. So this is a very big kind of analytical skill that is required even after the occurrence of disaster. So in terms of economic losses, so there must be a kind of mechanism. There is a kind of mechanism through which we used to analyze the kind of economic loss occurred due to disaster. And PDNE also help in providing inputs about the economic losses. So in the economic losses also, we need to bifurcate about the damages and loss. So when we talk about damage is a tangible. You can just feel or see. Whereas losses are intangible. You cannot find out the kind of calculation about the losses, right? How can you calculate about the kind of productivity? A cow was giving milk to you, and after the disaster, in the cow shed, 40 cows perished or died. What kind of losses you can analyze? So a kind of economic losses are needed to be determined or designed meticulously. And so is about the environmental impact of disaster. So environmental impact has to be a long-term study planning that can be taken very meticulously with the help of subject matter expert. Right. I hope I have satisfied your question. Next question.
So one of the participants have asked, how does disaster risk mitigation or management, how does it help, with the reference of artificial intelligence?
Can you again repeat the question?
Yes, sir. So I guess the participant is trying to say, what is the use of artificial intelligence in order to mitigate disasters?
Yes, very important question. Very good question. AI can be very much helpful nowadays. This is the kind of revolution going on in the country, and much has to be done because experts are gradually developing in this field of artificial intelligence. Is that, as if, for example, I'm telling you one thing. If I'm sitting at Rohini, and if I have established a weather station, and for the coming and for the last 4 or 5 years, that weather data is being generated by the station, right? For the temperature, precipitation, wind direction, wind speed, and humidity, right? So what machine does is that the machine reads all the data at the temporal level. So, for example, if there is a rainfall pattern of say 15 mm in the month of May, in the month of 15th or the half month of May, that falls in that particular location for which the station has generated the data. And if that happens every year in the month of May, the machine will learn, right? The machine will learn that the 15 mm of water falls in the month of May in X location. And a kind of machine learning is now generated. So that the machine will, after the end of 5 years, the machine will automatically tell you that, okay, on the 6th year, you can expect 15 mm of rainfall in the month of May. So this is called the machine learning. So machine will gradually learn out of the pattern of different weather parameter, or in disaster management also, in every area of disaster management. So say, for example, if you have gathered a sensor and artificial intelligence, machine learning is there, and they are recording a kind of disaster in a particular location every time, right? So that machine learning will generate or will develop into artificial intelligence. So that will be intelligent enough to tell you that what will happen after the end of that period, after the end of that period, after the end of that period. So that is called the artificial intelligence. And the machine learning is, the machine is now a learned person that can, give you all the kind of information that can happen in future. This is called the ML, AI and ML, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for addressing the question. And we will take one last question. One of the participant has asked that, sir, you have mentioned about obstructions of river flow by constructing airport. Man himself is doing this. So how can this gap be filled?
Yes, there is a need to have a revolution, another revolution in the country, and that can be possible only by using the services of disaster management experts. So when such kind of projects are in offering, they used to have a DPO, what we call is the detailed project report. They used to prepare, and they used to send this DPR to the Environmental Impact Assessment Agency for providing NOC, no objection certificate, that okay, there is NOC for construction of this kind of project in that particular location. Here comes the role of people like geologists, people like disaster management, people like environmental impact experts. They can provide inputs in the report that, okay, no, this is not feasible to construct airport in that area that can encroach the river. Or if you are if you are still planning to construct the airport, no, you can shift that location to little more ahead, or like that. So such kind of validation with the technology based data, it can be helpful in providing in taking a decision by the policymaker. So where's the gap? You have asked this question. The gap is that the policymakers, the planners, exactly doesn't understand about the area, the gap. They the kind of the people, those experts, those who are making the draft, now they are in a way not able to convince the policymaker that, okay, based on the data, this is the kind of things that can happen in future. So a kind of criticality is very much essential in providing such kind of inputs to DPR. Dibbya, I hope I have satisfied you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your kind time, sir. Being your busy schedule, you have given a very good lecture on IoT as well, sir. It was so much interesting and inspiring, sir. We keen to learn many things from you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Aradhana, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to formally welcome the next speaker of our session. This afternoon, we have with us Mr. Yuvraj. Sir is a professional having more than 9 years of experience in the field of disaster risk modeling, ecosystem risk mapping, coastal zone management, climate resilient agriculture, decision support system, and capacity building, GIS, and remote sensing. Sir has also completed his PhD in disaster management from Pondicherry University, India. Prior to this, Sir has been working with Taru. Yuvraj Sir was also working with Regional Integrated Multi-Hazard Early Warning System for Africa and Asia as disaster risk modeling specialist and on-site expert. Sir, the platform is all yours. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, I am Dr. Yuvraj. I'm working as a lead consultant disaster protection in Taru Leading Edge. So today I am going to present you the topic of WebGIS based decision support system in disaster management. What are the applications of WebGIS and its uses in disaster risk reduction and management during emergencies. So before going to the subject, I would like to introduce my organization. I'm from Taru Leading Edge. It's a unique leading space in knowledge advisory and implementation and innovative solutions for the policy development and development think tanks. Taru have a cutting edge presence in urban resilience, climate and disaster risks, climate change modelings, health, sanitation, CSR activities and urban services and all. So can you go to next slide? Next step is we have done more than 400 plus projects in India as well as around the globe, and our presence is there for like more than 25 states in India and 30 plus major urban centers we are working on, and 60 plus clients from academic to the international agencies and intergovernmental agencies we are working on, and 50 plus partner institutions we are collaborating within India as well as in abroad. And there are around 150 staffs working as a consultants and as well as on the advisory boards. Yeah. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, like before going to the applications of decision support system, so we have to understand what is the decision support system. Decision support system is a tool which made up of an information system that supports organizational decision making activities. This DSS is available all like within each and every human body itself, like our brain. Like our brain is gathering more information. It uses this information to operate some of the activities within our body as well as our daily operational activities. So our daily activities is based on the decisions from our brain. So similar to that, the decision support systems can be used to reduce the time needed to make crucial decisions regarding the task assignments, planning and preparation of strategies, and resource allocations. This can provide beneficials for emergency responses, because during disasters, these decision support systems are very much useful, which can provide multiple information in a single shots. So a decision support system can also use to guide for long-term decisions involving mitigation measures like assessment of cost-benefit analysis for if you are suggesting some plan to the government, and for the capacity building for the officials as well as for the experts, and the evaluation of command and control capability. Yeah, thank you. Next slide, please. Why decision support system is important? Like during disaster situations, there are a lot of organizations, line departments, nodal agencies, volunteers, and public. So lot of stakeholders are involved in the disaster management practices during preparedness as well as in the response activities particularly. So collecting all information and gathering every information to take a decision is very much difficult during the times. So the systems can provide those information in those particular categories. What are the information need for which stages of disasters, for what disasters, to perform what kind of preparedness or response activities. These information will be fetched with the DSS systems and will guide us to what are the activities need to be performed. So this provides a number of information in very less time. This is very useful for planning and allocating the resources for the disaster preparedness and response activities, and to form a systematic process to cope up with different disasters in various phases of disaster events. Next slide, please. Like what are the cutting edge technologies which are in use as well as which are need to be used for the decision support system and early warnings? One is the big data analytics. Nowadays, we are having enough number of data, but the need is to analyze those number of big data for the disaster management purpose. So this tool will help us to process these data and useful to identify what are the measures need to be done.
बस यही सीखा अभी तक, इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं सीखा।
बोलना गौरव बोल रहा है, उससे क्या करना है?
हाँ वो, अरे वो अपने दिमाग में सोच रहे सैंडोज, हाँ तो मैंने कहा सैंडोज कैंसर, तो उसने कहा नहीं अरुण बोला है तो तू ही कंफ्यूज हो रहा है, वो ऐसा कह रहा है।
तो यार अभी चाय पे डिस्कस करते हैं।
हाँ चाय पे डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है।
Excuse me, may I continue? Hello.
Sir, you can continue, sir. 1 minute. Yeah, let me share the screen again. 1 minute.
Screen is not visible. Yeah. The artificial intelligence is another advanced technique which is useful to use these what are the data available and make the computer to learn in itself, and which provides solutions during the disasters. Apart from this, WebGIS based information such as administration boundaries, water bodies, road network, land use, remote sensing based information such as weather information from IMD, high resolution satellite images from different sources of satellites like QuickBird, WorldView. So these informations need to be integrated for the decision support systems. Why these informations are important and why this is required in a WebGIS based platform? Because it's an ease of access. The first thing is it's ease of access. People can access from anywhere, and they don't require any technical skills like GIS knowledges or remote sensing knowledges to open those images, open to maps or the layers, whatever the things they are necessary. Suppose like, for example, how we are using the Google Maps. So there is a limited knowledge about the technologies most efficient to operate these WebGIS based applications. And mobile applications such as the smart mobile applications, apps, and the messages. So these kind of informations can be also used. And Internet of Things, as previous presentations, Doctor has clearly explained what are the importance of Internet of Things. So the census data and the information from different nodal agencies, this can be integrated using this Internet of Things. And the next one is low-cost sensor networks, cost-effective sensors. So various cost-effective sensors are available currently today in the market. So this can enable a high-density coverage of different sensors like rainfall sensors, road inundation sensors, street sensors, and pumping water sensors. So these different kinds of sensors nowadays is very much useful to monitor the disasters as well as to take the decisions at the real time. Next slide. So these are the components I'm going to present today. Next slide, please. A disaster database. So the disaster database should have the archival for the analysis of different information such as rainfall, temperature, reservoir and tank levels, and cyclone tracks, data of vulnerable areas, and classification of these vulnerable areas by different agencies, and disaster damage data, event-wise and location-wise data are available from the different state government departments and other nodal agencies. Next slide, please. Yeah. The big data analytics and AI can be used in 3 different phases. One is the descriptive analysis using historical data. We can identify what are the events occurred in the history and what impacts they have created. And the next one is the predictive analysis, which focuses on predicting the future, like based on the historical data, what are the things happen, and based on our historical knowledge and interpretation, we have to predict what are the things to be held in future as per the forecast of IMD as well as the forecast of INCOIS. So We are predicting the future probabilities and trends by linking the static and dynamic historical data and perspective analysis. This will use to make policy making for disaster risk reduction, such as structural and non-structural measures, and design changes, and land use preparation of land use plans and regulations. And the structural measures like construction of escape regulators, concrete bunds, and flood risk reduction structures. And next slide, please. And geospatial information systems and WebGIS based. It's like the vulnerability mapping. What I have suggested was like WebGIS based information is very much useful, particularly for the vulnerability mapping kind of things. So in this vulnerability mapping, we can categorize different types of vulnerable areas in the locations. Suppose in case of Tamil Nadu, there are around 4,300 vulnerable locations identified by the government of Tamil Nadu. And they are using this WebGIS based platform for the developing this vulnerability database and use it for the different disasters. And based on the past historic records, they are planning for the future disasters, like for the preparedness and response activities. Next slide. So real-time data and WebGIS based decision support systems such as automatic weather stations, automatic rain gauge stations, automatic soil moisture systems, and geoelectrical monitoring systems. These are the real-time data transferring equipments which are connected to the sensors, which provide the data at different ranges, like from minutes to hours. So this is very useful for the decision makers to get the data at the real time, and they can act based on the what are the ground reality. So they can easily understand the ground reality and they can take according actions. Next slide, please. And in addition to this, as I said, what are the data we are receiving from these rain gauge stations? So we can easily monitor from the system itself. So sitting from Chennai, we can able to know which are all the locations able to flood, or which are the locations that heavy rainfall is occurring. This is during the last southwest monsoon season. So how much rainfall occur at what places, which location. So what is the category of the rainfall as per IMD? So every information we can easily get to know. Next slide. So during heavy rainfall, actually, I think you have skipped one more slide, I think so. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, next slide, please. Yeah, in addition to that, the WebGIS based information will provide us the forecasters, like from the IMD, and it can easily use to identify the district level what are the forecast, and now the forecast is came up to taluk and firka level also. So even the government of Tamil Nadu is planning to downscale those data up to village level. So this village level forecast and all is very much useful for the decision makers as well as the local public to made a tailor-made advisories as per their local scenario. Next slide, please. Yes. This is our automated risk forecast, which is developed for the decision support system in Tamil Nadu. So based on the real-time rainfall occurs, the system will automatically detect what are the locations will going to inundate. So the category of rainfall was classified into 4 different categories: low, moderate, high, and very high. At low, what are the places will get inundated? So you can go to next. Next is moderate. So how much the inundation level will occur, and in the high how much, and in very high how much. So this is very useful for the decision makers to come to identify and forecast which are all the areas will going to impact. Next slide. So once identify the impacts, how we are going to communicate the impacts to the different officers, public, as well as volunteers. So there are some common alert systems available in different states. There are different systems available. Suppose in case of Tamil Nadu, TN Smart is available. In case of Odisha, Satark is available. So they are providing different alerts like rainfall, for sea conditions, for heat waves, and for cyclone and all kind of disasters. They are providing alerts. In addition to the government sources, like the state government sources, the national government is coming up with some lightning alert related applications, such as a dam in. So this provide lightning related information specific to the particular area. This can disseminate to the public in the particular location, and the lives can be saved, as well as the cattle and the livelihoods can be saved. Next slide, please. So, how this WebGIS-based decision system is useful for preparedness and response planning. So, the application is very wide here, and opportunities also open for all types of technologies. So, the first one is the resource information in spatial map, like human resources. We can identify the different human resources available at district level, state level, village level, even up to the local street level also. So who are all the first responders, nodal officers, and intergovernmental team and NGOs available in the specific places we can easily identify. Suppose if a disaster occurred at a particular location, suppose if we take some Katamkulathur area, so nearby the Katamkulathur area, how many first responders are available, who is the nodal officers to respond. So all these kinds of information is available. So now it's available in an open source in a TN Smart platform of Tamil Nadu government also. And the permanent structures such as shelters, cyclone shelters, hospitals, schools, colleges, Anganwadis, and their locations also available. And in particular to shelters, what are all the equipments available with the shelters, how much the water capacity, whether the shelter can accommodate the cattle and the livelihoods, and the medical facilities of the shelter. So all this kind of information was available. And portable resources such as ambulance, fire service, JCB, chainsaw, motor pumps. For this is particularly very much useful for disaster response activities. After the disasters, the government need these equipments at a particular places where it is affected. So it is easy to bring those resources based on these informations. And this can be useful to identify population at vulnerable locations at ward level, and emergency contact databases, and standard operational procedures for different departments, and predefined tailor-made advisories for nodal officers and intergovernmental departments. So this can provide this lot of informations to the public. So the current slide shows the location of the shelters. Suppose the red color shows which are all the different types of shelters. So what are all the facilities available in the shelters, and who is the in charge for the shelters, drinking water capacity, rooms, lights. So all this kind of information are updating on a regular basis, like monthly and seasonal basis by the government departments. So this will provide information to the decision makers. What is the status of shelters, whether they can accommodate other people during disasters or not. So what are the resources are lacking, and what are the resources to procure before the disaster. So these kind of planning can be made using this information. Next slide, please. And disaster response planning. And actually the slide is not properly visible. Vignesh, Dr. Vignesh. Dr. Vignesh, the slide is not properly visible. Can you reload the slide?
One minute, sir. Is it visible now, sir?
No, it's get loading.
Yes.
Yeah, it's visible now. Yeah.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute.
You can go to slide number 20.
Yeah. 1 minute. Since it is a huge image file, it is a bit difficult to load it.
Due to the graphics,
Yes.
occupies more space. Yeah, I can come in here. So for the response planning map, the information provided such as highlighting the location of evacuation routes, like which are all the roadways available to evacuate the public and to take the relief shelters and from the vulnerable locations, and what are all the response forces like SDRF, NDRF, local volunteers available in the places, or those information is also available. And in addition to that, the first responder, next slide please. The first responders information such as each and every government departments, like state government departments, disaster management department, having their own volunteers. So those volunteer information, complete set of around 80,000 volunteers information is available in these databases. So this can effectively used by government during the emergency situation. These volunteers are act as a first responders. So during any emergencies, they can go to the field and they will involve in the preparedness and response measures. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are the first responders of Kadlu district. They have involved in the mock drill before the season of 2020 Northeast monsoon season. So the mock drill have like frequently will conduct the mock drill. The government will conduct the mock drill. So they will be updated their knowledge and the skills to evacuate the public and involved in the disaster response activities. Next slide, please. The response equipments with the government. So these informations are also available in this decision support system. So this will be useful for the decision makers where to put move these resources from one place to another during the emergency situation. Next slide, please. The relief shelter information such as multi-purpose evacuation shelters, hospitals, schools in the vulnerable zone information is also available. Next slide, please. So what are all the resources and operation manuals? This kind of information is also available with the government. So next slide, please. I will demonstrate how and during the disasters, how the government will operate this decision support system. Next slide, please. Yeah. Suppose in case of tsunami, the decision support system, like how it will be effective during the times of disasters. Suppose inquires detected some earthquake, like we have taken the case study of 2004. After the inquest detected the earthquake in the Sumatra Island, so they can assess that for India, the tsunami alert can be issued. So the tsunami bulletin will reach the government, Tamil Nadu State Emergency Operations Center, and it will disseminate it to the district departments as well, district emergency management center. So once the information is received, an automated WebGIS based alert system will alert the incident response officers. So it alerts the district collectors, first responders, and users. It creates the alerts. It will create the sound. for this kind of high emergency situation, even if the mobile is in a silent mode. So even if the mobile is in silent mode also, the app can able to alert those volunteers and officials, and even if the option is available for the public also. So, so based on that, the response activity and standard operation procedures will take on. Next, please. A small sound kind of thing it will come. Next, please. Yeah. Okay. So, in case of a cyclone, we have taken case study of weather cyclone. So, during cyclone, how this DSS will use? After the cyclone warning issued by the IMD, so this information will be fetched up with this DSS system, and the system generates a predefined area of cyclone warning, like which are the potential areas going to impact during the cyclone at different level of its intensity based on it. So it will identify which are all the villages and which are all the population at risk and which are the population at different level of risks. So these information will be automatically populated by this decision support system, and it will generate a bulletin to the decision makers. So this based on the decision makers approval, within a single shot, this risk will be communicated to the respective operational users and end users at district level as well as at taluk level. So this will be very much useful for the preparedness and response activities. Resources will be displayed and communicated. Yeah. Next. So the warning is issued by IMD. The system generates which are all the areas is getting affected, and cyclone module can calculate which are all the population and villages is going to affected. And next, please, the risks will be communicated to the operational users. And next, based on that, the preparedness and response activities will be carried out. Next, please. So what is our experiences in like the decision support systems, and what are the case studies we have conducted? So strengthening, we have did some projects for strengthening climate resilience for Kolkata. It's again a WebGIS based decision support system, which is useful for both the cyclone and flood hazards. It able to forecast the risk at the ward level. There are around 450 sensor network installed around the city of Kolkata. So these will provide the real-time information about where the inundation occurs, which are all the streets, even the sensors installed in the schools, colleges, and critical infrastructures like hospitals. So which are all these areas will get affected. So we can easily identify and take the response measures as per the decision makers. And next slide, please. Yeah. So there are different types of sensors available. As I mentioned, is that there are low-cost sensors. So these kind of sensors need to be developed throughout the city and make a low-cost sensor network. So for an effective management of the disasters, particularly in the urban areas, these sensors and networks are very much useful. So there are different kinds of sensors like road inundation sensors, which is useful to detect how much inundation occurs in the roads and how much duration was there. And canal sensors used to identify the level of water in the rivers and canals. And pumping station sensors used to identify what is the status of pumping stations, how many motors are working in the pumping stations, what is the capacity to pump for the next few hours. So this kind of information is to provide. And the location sensors installed in the buses and other cabs and the government vehicles. This is useful to identify the flood vulnerable areas and where the traffic flow is getting affected, and where the travel time delay is getting affected. So these sensors is useful to identify where the connectivity is getting lost. And The automatic rainwater stations is useful to identify the rainwater, identify the real-time rainwater level, and these information from these sensors can be integrated into the cloud-based server, and this can be utilized for this real-time decision-making systems, and can be further communicated to the government officials. Next. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, actually, during the like pandemic situation, like how this decision support system was used as a case study I'm showing. So some of the areas like in the United States, they have used this decision support system to monitor which are the areas the high number of infections occurs, what are the precaution measures need to be taken. Next slide, please. So this, we used to identify how the COVID is spreaded from one place to another place. So depending on the temporal data, so they run the model how from which place to which place and which mode of connectivity it, from which place to one place to another place it deviated. So the next slide, please. This one is private sector from India. They have developed this model to identify the this bubble map, which is useful to identify which are all the hotspots during the COVID. Next slide, please. So this is the information, WebGIS-based information developed by Tamil Nadu government, and they have used this WebGIS-based platform at district and taluk level. COVID affected cases and how much the public was recovered and how much death cases, and to monitor the mortality rate also. Next slide, please. So this is regarding the vaccination and where the vaccination centers are available. So this information is also the WebGIS decision support system was used for this purpose also. Next slide, please. And mobile application as well as which provides COVID related information. Those times was Arogya Setu and COVID-19 app by Andhra Pradesh government department and COVID. So as you all will aware these apps, and I hope most of the people are utilized these apps. So it is useful for the decision making for the public level. Next, please. So actually, this one was given related to COVID. So what are the other things to disasters nowadays? Like how the data can be used from the crowdsource for the effective disaster management. So like compilation of the cluster of hazard data will be useful to identify which are the local hazards, like apart from the regional level and district level hazards, which are the local hazards, which is useful to identify the hotspots of the local hazards, and categorization of resources and allocation to specific areas, and ward level report can be generated using this decision system. Next slide, please. And what I have mentioned was the crowdsource mapping. So it's not only for the flood. During the COVID also, this was used by the government. Like they have identified based on the crowdsource data, which are all the locations the active cases are available. And next slide, please. It's not showing the image. Yeah, which are all the active areas will get flooded, and which are all the areas the reports was made by public. So if a public can report my street was getting flooded, the system will automatically pop up to the decision makers. So it will blink to the people, officials working in the state emergency operation centers, and they can narrate this information to the respective stakeholder departments, and they will take action. Once the information is communicated, the next slide, next one, please, will show the information was forwarded to the concerned nodal officer. And next one, please, if the action is taken, it will show the green. So this is very much useful for the decision makers at district and state level. They can able to monitor whether the action is being carried out, whether the disaster management is effectively working. So this crowdsourced mapping is nowadays it's becoming a very useful tool to make a impact-based decision making. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Yeah. Anybody having any questions?
Sir, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It was a very great and kind presentation, sir. And very clearly crispy with all graphics you have clearly shown your presentation, sir. So it was very much highly impressed with your presentation, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And we would like to collaborate further with all endeavors, sir, with your organization as well with you.
Thank you very much, Vignesh. Thank you for providing this opportunity to interact with your staffs and students.
Yes.
So,
yes. So there are a few questions floating around in the chat box, sir. Just I will, if anything is there, surely I will.
Yeah.
So most of them are highly impressed with your PPT. Maybe they are asking your PPT presentation, sir. So any more questions from the participant side, please go ahead. Questions from participants. What is the database disaster recovery plan?
Yeah, actually, the database, like there are different database structures available with different government departments. Currently, with I'm explaining the case of Tamil Nadu state government. Is it's a cloud-based database they are using, as well as a physical server database also they are using in a Perumudi STC server. It's called a TN Smart database.
Okay, sir. Sir, the other question is 1 minute, sir.
What is disaster in cloud?
What is disaster in cloud?
No, it's not a disaster in cloud. It's a cloud database. It's a cloud database. Yeah. It's the physical server is available at different location. So the data will not get deleted. If your data was particular to one physical server, it may delete. So if it is based out of different locations and the same the application, whatever the things available with your database can be mirrored in those different servers. So the data will not be deleted, and whenever and wherever you require the data, you can access those data. And what is disaster management in AWS? So AWS is automatic weather systems. These AWS will use to detect different climatic parameters such as rainfall, temperature, humidity. So it's a package. AWS is a package of multiple climate sensing the multiple climate information. Suppose if you take ARG is automatic rain gauge stations, which is useful to detect only the rainfall. Okay.
Yes, so other question is, what was the role of Arokya Setu app, which will be clearly discussed by tomorrow Professor Alex Joseph. He will be discussing about the epidemiological surveillance of various pandemic and endemic. So at that point of time, this will be answered, sir. Mr. Respected Ashok Dhingra, sir, it will be answered at that point of time. So yes, sir. Thank you. That's all. The question is from. That's all, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your kind time. Of course, we will share the slide to your, to your registered mail ID. So most of them are seeking the slides. We will share you the slides as well. Aradhana, over to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vignesh. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Firstly, on behalf of NIDM, I would like to thank Dr. Yuvraj, lead consultant at Taru. Some of the key points highlighted by Yuvraj sir was why decision support is important, cutting edge technology in early warning system, cost edge technologies, components of disaster database, big data analytics and artificial intelligence, geospatial information system, preparedness and response planning. We thank you, sir, for patiently addressing all the answers and for your time and for your contributions, sir. We thank you once again. Now, we request the participants to kindly join for this training, which is the last day of training program, tomorrow at the same time. Until then, please follow the link.
Okay, so now adding to that, tomorrow feedback link will be shared, and tomorrow morning the participants link also will be shared. Mostly the same link only you should join, and no more registration is allowed for any other participants. So don't try to register, because few of them are getting a mail that you want to register, because 80% attendance is mandatory, that you cannot register it now, at least 2 days gone. So once the feedback form is filled and we get the server that you received the feedback form, after that we will issue the participation certificate. So stay alert for the tomorrow's training program from different experts from various organizations. Thank you one and all. Thank you Aradhana, and thank you NIDM team. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.